Africa something that people all feel? Do you all feel African, or do you all feel different? There's Nigeria, there's South Africa.
No,
is there an African identity?
It depends.
Let me ask the
yes.
question. Is there an African identity, or is that just a European idea?
Look, I think that we're moving more and more with globalization, social media. A lot of people know what's going on. I mean, look at the crisis in Burundi. Everybody knew what was going on in Bujumbura. 10 years ago, people wouldn't even bother about what's going on in Bujumbura.
They might not even know where it is.
They might not even know where it is. So things are beginning to come. In fact, the political leadership in Africa are beginning to speak more with one voice, even though they're still a long way from a guru. But also what it is with democratic governance, what we've seen in Nigeria, what we've seen, even in South Africa, where opposition parties are beginning to be more visible, even though they might not say the things that people want them to say all the time. But we're seeing in Africa that is becoming more in terms of governance. We saw with the Namibian president who's just won the Mo Ibrahim Prize, which hasn't been won for a few years. That tells you that Africa is coming of age. And also we've seen recently the Nigerian Minister of Agriculture 2 days ago, he's gotten the African Development Bank. We're excited about that because that means that Africa's largest economy will have a strong voice in the international monetary system.
And is Nigeria a role model? Here we have the new President Muhammadu Buhari, democratically elected in a, so far, I don't even need to say so far, do I? Peaceful transition.
Absolutely.
Is that a role model for Africa?
I think it's important because, as I said, the significance of this more so is because it's the first time in Nigeria's history that the ruling party has transferred power to an opposition leader. And we saw President Jonathan on the stage today, and he was there, and it's very symbolic. It's very important for Africa to be able to see Nigeria get it right, because generally we tend to get it wrong. And this is a very good piece of news for Africa, and coming also on the back of the successful candidacy of Akinwumi Adesina, the minister, the immediate past minister for agriculture, who's done a sterling job, and he was Forbes Person of the Year 2013, Forbes Africa.
Yes, I saw the cover. And forgive me, when you say Nigeria to most people, probably in other parts of Africa as well as Europe and America, they think huge problems, Boko Haram, falling oil price, economy, corruption.
Triple threats, but Nigeria, it was not born yesterday. Nigeria has some very bright intellectuals. Nigeria has some very industrious people. We've gone through so much pain, civil war within 7 years of our independence that lasted 30 months. We've had military dictatorship, which we've managed to push aside. We've had contested arguments about who will succeed Yar'Adua. We managed to get Jonathan to succeed Yar'Adua in line with the Constitution. We had issues around these elections, whether it will be free and fair. We managed to deliver that. The president conceded to President Buhari. So Nigeria will always tell his own story. Maybe sometimes they don't tell it in a very fancy way, but we always tend to get out of the rut.
Are you really going to get out of the Boko Haram rut?
Well, the Boko Haram, as you've already seen, I mean with the surge,
thousands, hundreds.
Yeah, with the surge before the election.
Sorry?
With the surge, in military surge, focusing on those key areas, getting support from Chad, with the African Peace and Security Council, the 9,000 troops that has been pledged. Once those are put in place, we have a ex-military general who is now president of Nigeria from the north of the country. Is also symbolic because he's also a Muslim. As you know, people try to play, oh, Jonathan is a Christian, he's an infidel. Now we have a Muslim president who's got military experience and is respected in the army, by the army. I believe that Boko Haram will fade away gradually.
And maybe because the people who might have been giving them safety before will now respect the president more than Boko Haram and not give them safe haven in those places where they feel safe.
Absolutely.
Is that important?
Absolutely. And there's been major successes in the last few weeks. They've been running ragged. There were some girls that were found, over 300 of them, but sadly not the Chibok girls. But also
the Chibok girls haven't been found.
Yeah, they haven't been found. It's very difficult to find people because they're not putting them in one bedroom in one house.
And they're living with them.
Oh, absolutely. And what we believe is that Boko Haram will become a thing of the past. We've seen terror groups all over the world fade out. Even Al-Qaeda has faded. When we have ISIS, they reach their peak, then they have to come. The only way to come is to come down. And also with a strong government, a government that is serious about tackling corruption, a government that has a manifesto, a government that is on speed dial with all the key leaders of the continent and globally. I believe that there will be a lot of change in terms of the approach, and we've already started to see that with General Buhari in terms of he's even dropped the name General. So he's actually now President Muhammadu Buhari. So that shows you that he wants to be in tune with his people, and I believe that Nigeria's time is now.
Adetunji Omotola, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.